reputation for making people forget they were in space. That was the point. The liner's designers believed travelers should remember anniversaries, sunsets, concerts, and impossible meals, not reactor vibrations or navigation burns. By the second evening of any voyage, passengers stopped looking out the observation windows. The stars became ordinary. Life returned to being life. Vera Quinet preferred the observation lounge anyway. Not because of the view, because nobody expected conversation there. She sat beside a panoramic window with a cup of hot citrus broth balanced between her upper hands while her lower pair held an aging archival tablet. The diplomatic conference on Estara Prime had ended 2 days earlier. She should have been reviewing historical records for her next assignment. Instead, she was reading mystery novels. Her father would have disapproved, which made them even more enjoyable. Across the lounge, an elderly human couple argued quietly over a card game. That's absolutely not the rule. It has been the rule since 1998. We didn't know each other in 1998. Exactly, the woman laughed. You've been wrong longer than I've known you. Neither sounded remotely angry. The game continued. A pair of children raced through the lounge wearing souvenir captain's hats. One stopped beside Vera. Excuse me, she lowered her tablet. Yes. The little girl pointed toward the stars. My brother says we're standing still. The brother crossed his arms confidently. We are. The girl looked at Vera. Are we? Vera smiled. No, but it certainly feels that way. The children accepted this profound scientific explanation without hesitation and resumed arguing all the way toward the dessert promenade. Life aboard the Astor Vale resumed around them. Someone played quiet piano music. Passengers wandered between cafes. Crew members carried trays covered with desserts that cost more than Vera's first apartment. Somewhere below, someone applauded. Another vacation activity beginning, nothing remarkable, exactly what everyone had paid for. Her wrist terminal chimed. Father, she answered. Ambassador Thurl Quinet appeared above the screen. You've ignored my last 3 messages. I was reading. I noticed. You tracked my activity. I know my daughter. You assume correctly too often. Thurl's facial crest lifted slightly. I've reviewed the conference minutes. And you were unnecessarily argumentative. I was accurately argumentative. There is a difference. There rarely is, he sighed. You embarrassed the Keln representative. He attempted to rewrite 2 centuries of treaty history. He was mistaken. He was confidently mistaken. Her father almost smiled. Those are frequently the most difficult people. Exactly. A comfortable silence followed. Neither hurried to fill it. Thurl finally asked, Have you eaten? Twice. Properly? I had dessert. That is not an answer. It is on this ship. He looked unconvinced. I'll see you in 3 days. You will. And Vera? Yes. Stay out of arguments until then, she smiled. I'll disappoint you. The call ended. The first explosion felt more than it sounded. Every light flickered. The floor lurched beneath her feet. The panoramic window instantly polarized into emergency opacity. Passengers looked around in confusion. No one screamed, not yet. The ship's pleasant announcement voice filled the lounge. Attention passengers. Please remain where you are while the crew investigates an unexpected systems anomaly. The elderly human looked up from his cards. That's never good. His wife calmly gathered the deck. If they're still using the word unexpected, we have at least 30 seconds. A crew member hurried into the lounge. Her practiced smile had vanished. Everyone away from the windows, please. Now. No one argued. Training recognized training. People moved. Another impact. Harder. The lights failed completely. Emergency illumination flooded the lounge in dark crimson. Then the pleasant announcement voice stopped in mid-sentence. A different voice replaced it. Cold, amplified, unfamiliar. This vessel is under our control. Silence swallowed the lounge. Remain where you are. Failure to obey will result in immediate consequences. Someone whispered, pirates. The emergency doors opened, not slowly, not dramatically. They exploded inward. 4 armored figures entered with terrifying precision. No shouting. No random firing. One covered the passengers. One moved directly toward the security station. One disabled the wall communications panel with 2 shots. The last walked straight toward the ship's security officer. The officer had already drawn his sidearm. He never fired. The pirate shot him once through the chest before he could raise the weapon. The room froze. The officer collapsed beside the reception desk. His weapon skidded across the polished floor. No one moved toward it. One of the children screamed. Pirate did not even look at the body. He simply spoke. Sit. Every passenger obeyed, not because of panic, because everyone had just learned these people meant exactly what they said. Vera lowered herself carefully to the floor. Around her, parents pulled children close. An elderly passenger quietly began praying. A crew attendant pressed shaking hands over her mouth. The pirate nearest Vera noticed none of it. He was not watching emotions. He was watching hands, eyes, distances, fields of fire. Professionals, that frightened her more than rage would have. Professionals usually lived longer. The pirates separated the crew first, then anyone wearing diplomatic insignia, then security personnel. No one resisted, not after the officer. One pirate approached Vera. Name. Vera Quinet, he froze. Repeat. She did. The pirate keyed something into a wrist terminal. His posture changed, not respect, recognition. He touched the side of his helmet. I've found her. A voice answered immediately. Alive? Yes, bring her. She was marched through corridors that only minutes earlier had smelled of coffee and pastries. Now tables lay overturned. Broken glass covered the carpet. A violin rested alone in the middle of a hallway. Its owner was nowhere in sight. A service robot continued polishing the floor around a dropped suitcase. No one had told it civilization had ended. The absurd normality almost made Vera laugh. Almost. The central atrium contained nearly every passenger aboard the ship. Hundreds sat beneath the enormous glass dome. Children cried. Crew members quietly comforted the injured. Pirates occupied balconies overlooking the crowd. Heavy weapons covered every approach. Someone had planned this, very carefully. At the center platform stood a single man without a helmet, gray skin, white scars crossing one side of his face, one black cybernetic eye. He watched the room the way a chess player studied a board halfway through a winning game. Draxon Pell, Vera said quietly. He smiled. I wondered whether you'd recognize me. I read. So do I. He stepped closer. Your father has become inconvenient. Many people have mentioned that. I intend to use you to make him more cooperative. Vera met his gaze. I wouldn't. No, my father once negotiated for 9 days while recovering from surgery. Pell raised an eyebrow. Did he win? He forgot he was recovering. A few nearby pirates chuckled. Pell did too. Then the smile disappeared. Good. I prefer difficult opponents. He turned toward the communications console. Open a channel. Hundreds of light years away, Ambassador Thurl Quinet watched the emergency transmission connect. The image stabilized. His daughter stood alive beside Draxon Pell. Relief struck him so suddenly it almost hurt. Then Pell smiled into the camera. Ambassador, I have your daughter. Thurl's voice remained perfectly steady. What are your demands? Pell shook his head. Not yet. He drew a compact pistol, turned. Without warning, he shot one kneeling crew member through the head. The atrium erupted into screams. Pell looked back at the camera. His voice never changed. Now you understand I'm serious. The transmission ended. Silence filled the Orovai command chamber. No one spoke. No one moved. Thurl stared at the blank screen. One of his advisors whispered, What do we do? Thurl answered without looking away. We negotiate. Before anyone could respond, another officer looked up sharply from the tactical display. Ambassador. New contact entering the system. The display identified the ship. Human Commonwealth cruiser. HCS Quiet Resolve. One ship, no escorts, no fleet, just one small cruiser burning hard toward the hijacked liner. An incoming transmission request appeared almost immediately. Thurl accepted it. A tired-looking human commander appeared on the screen. No speech, no introduction. She glanced once at the tactical display and asked a single question. How many hostages? Thurl answered automatically. 955. The woman nodded once. Then turned to someone behind her. We're outnumbered. A broad-shouldered man studying engineering schematics looked up. So Tuesday, a few people in the cramped operations room laughed. The commander did not. She looked back at Thurl. My name is Commander Sabine Arclight. We're going to need about 6 hours. And before Thurl could ask why, the humans disconnected and immediately went to work. Chapter 2, The People Inside. For the first hour, nothing happened. That frightened Vera more than the shooting. Chaos, she understood. Silence meant someone was thinking. The pirates moved through the Aster Veil with practiced efficiency. No shouting, no random cruelty, no celebrating. Every compartment was searched. Every emergency beacon collected. Every passenger terminal confiscated. Crew members were separated from tourists. Engineers from entertainers. Doctors from everyone else. Anyone with security training received plastic restraints. The pirates had done this before. The central atrium slowly became a camp. Children slept beneath restaurant tables. Crew members transformed tablecloths into blankets. A baker from the lower galley quietly handed out pieces of bread until a pirate confiscated the basket. 20 minutes later, passengers noticed bread appearing again anyway. Nobody ever saw where it came from. One elderly woman simply smiled whenever another loaf appeared. No one asked questions. Vera sat against one of the marble planters surrounding the artificial trees. The irony was not lost on her. 3 hours ago, people had been taking photographs beside them. Now parents hid children behind them whenever guards walked past. The trees had not changed, only the people around them. The little girl from the observation lounge sat beside her, still wearing the oversized captain's hat. She looked up. Are we going to die? Vera considered lying. Instead, she asked, do you know my job? The girl shook her head. I keep records. That's boring. Usually. So what do you do now? Vera looked across the atrium. I pay attention. The little girl frowned. That helps. It has before. The child accepted this with complete seriousness, then leaned against Vera's shoulder and quietly fell asleep. Across the atrium, Drax and Pell watched everything, not from the center, from the balcony. He rarely remained in one place longer than 5 minutes. Sometimes he stood among the guards. Sometimes he disappeared entirely, then reappeared somewhere nobody expected. He was checking them, not the hostages, his own people. Vera noticed 3 pirates disciplined in the first hour, one for speaking too loudly, one for leaving a firing position, one for pointing a weapon carelessly toward another pirate. Pell did not tolerate sloppiness, which made him more dangerous than a reckless man would have been. A pirate lieutenant approached him. Commander, the engineering teams report full control. Good, the bridge, secure. Communications, still isolated. Pell nodded once. The negotiations, the ambassador accepted. Of course he did, the lieutenant hesitated. What about the humans? For the first time, Pell stopped walking. What about them? 1 cruiser, no fleet, no reinforcements. They've requested maintenance records, Pell smiled. They're military. They're planning. Good, the lieutenant looked confused. You expected that. I hoped for it. Why? Pell looked toward the enormous observation dome. Because military planners become predictable. They make plans. They begin believing those plans. Then they become prisoners of them. He resumed walking. We'll make sure that happens. Far away aboard the Quiet Resolve, Commander Sabine Arclight had not spoken in almost 15 minutes. She simply watched. Myria Sato broke the silence. They've moved the command post. Sabine looked over. Where? Not sure. But it isn't the bridge anymore. Evidence? The echoes changed. Oren looked up from the engineering plans. Seriously? She nodded. The bridge ventilation runs at 41 hertz. The latest transmission was 37. Sabine did not ask how she knew. She already had the answer, because Myria listened, really listened. Tavian entered carrying a stack of medical manifests. We have 42 diabetics, 3 pregnancies, 27 passengers needing alternate atmospheres. Oren blinked. That's your concern? Tavian looked genuinely puzzled. What else would it be? We don't even know if we're boarding. Oh, but if we do, they're still diabetic. Nobody argued. Back aboard the liner, lunch arrived, or something resembling lunch. The pirates distributed nutrient packs, exactly 1 per passenger. No seconds, no substitutions. A methane-breathing passenger quietly explained she could not digest standard rations. The pirate shrugged. Not my problem. Vera stood. It is now. The guard turned. You want to volunteer? No. I want to solve your problem. The pirate laughed. I don't have one. You have a dead hostage if she starves. The pirate's expression hardened. That's tomorrow. No, that's paperwork. He stared. She continued. You've gone to extraordinary effort to keep everyone alive. You've separated doctors, protected engineers, maintained atmosphere systems. You clearly need us alive. So feed her correctly. The pirate looked uncertain. He keyed his radio. Several minutes later, a crew chef arrived under guard. He prepared a compatible meal. The methane breather quietly whispered, "Thank you." Vera shook her head. Thank him, she nodded toward the embarrassed pirate. He just doesn't know it yet. From the balcony, Pell had watched the entire exchange. When the guard returned, Pell asked, "Why did you change procedure?" The pirate swallowed. She made sense. Pell nodded slowly. Correct. The guard relaxed. Then Pell added, "Next time make sense first." The guard blinked. "Sir," Pell pointed toward the crowd, "she's organizing them." The pirate looked confused. "She only asked for food." "No." Pell watched Vera helping distribute meals. "She just proved that cooperation produces results." He smiled slightly. "Never underestimate someone who gives people hope." The second negotiation began. Thurl appeared on the screen. His expression had not changed. Pell appreciated that. Most negotiators tried to hide emotion. The Orovai ambassador simply controlled it. "I assume you've reviewed my demands." "I have. And I require proof the remaining hostages are alive." Pell tilted his head. "You negotiate immediately." "I verify immediately." Reasonable, professional. Pell almost respected it, almost. Instead, he turned toward the atrium. "Bring me 6. Random passengers were selected, not diplomats, not children, not obvious dignitaries, just 6 frightened people. One happened to be the elderly human who had argued over cards. He stood before the camera. Pell gestured. "Tell him how you're being treated." The man looked at Thurl, then at Pell, then back again. "The food could be better." Silence. Pell stared. The human shrugged. "You asked." Somewhere in the atrium, someone snorted. Another passenger laughed despite themselves. Pell closed his eyes, briefly. Then unexpectedly he laughed, a real laugh. "Take him away." The old man paused. Am I in trouble? No, I simply refuse to negotiate with comedians. As the prisoners returned to the crowd, the elderly man whispered to Vera, I think he likes me. She replied, I sincerely hope you're wrong. Aboard the quiet Resolve, the negotiation recording ended. Oren frowned. I hate him. Myria nodded. Me too. Sabine looked at Pell's laughter, then replayed it. Again. Oren asked, what? She pointed at the waveform. He laughed. Yes, and every guard relaxed. Silence settled over the room, then Myria understood. Command climate. Sabine nodded. They're scared of disappointing him. Oren slowly smiled. So if we separate him from the others, they stop acting like a unit. Sabine looked back at the ship. For the first time since entering the system, a plan began forming. Outside the observation window, the Aster Veil drifted silently through space. To everyone watching from a distance, it looked peaceful. Inside, 955 lives balanced on conversations, while 24 humans quietly studied every word. Chapter 3, The First Plan Dies. Drax and Pell found the first human device inside a dead service camera. It had been there for less than 4 minutes. That was enough. The camera hung above a maintenance junction on Deck 9, its lens pointed toward an empty corridor. One of Pell's technicians had opened the casing after noticing a fractional delay in the feed. Inside, attached behind the original transmitter, sat a human relay no larger than a fingernail. Elegant, quiet, almost invisible. Pell turned it over in his palm. The device was still warm. His lieutenant watched carefully. Sabotage? Surveillance? Can we trace it? No. Then destroy it? Pell closed his hand around the relay. Not yet. The lieutenant hesitated. Why? Pell looked toward the nearest camera. Because if they believe it still works, they will tell us what they want to see. The lieutenant's expression changed. Pell smiled. Move nothing obvious. Change patrol routes by 3 minutes. Swap the bridge guard with engineering. Put 2 men behind the atrium service wall. And tell everyone the humans are not aboard. Are they? I don't know. That is why we assume they are. Vera Quinnen noticed the patrol change almost immediately. The pirates had rotated every 23 minutes since the hijacking began. Now one team arrived early. Another did not arrive at all. A third came from the wrong corridor. Pell had changed the pattern. That meant he had discovered something. She sat beneath one of the artificial trees, with the little girl from the observation lounge asleep against her side. The child still wore the oversized captain's hat. It had slipped down over one eye. Vera adjusted it gently. Across the atrium, the elderly human card player whispered to his wife. They've changed guards. I know. You noticed. I have eyes. You have glasses. I noticed first. They continued arguing in voices low enough not to carry. Vera almost smiled. Then a pirate stepped onto the central platform, not Pell, his lieutenant. He carried a tablet. Passenger Vera Quinnen. The atrium quieted. Vera stood. The child woke and grabbed her sleeve. Don't go. I'll return. How do you know? Vera looked toward the lieutenant. I don't. The honesty frightened the child. Vera lowered herself again. But I intend to. That was enough. The child released her. Pell waited inside the observation lounge, the same room where the hijacking had begun. The security officer's blood had been cleaned from the floor. A dark stain remained beneath the edge of the reception desk. The cards used by the elderly human couple still lay scattered beside the window. No one had gathered them. Pell stood near the polarized glass, holding the human relay between 2 fingers. Vera saw it immediately. You found something. Yes, human. Yes. Her crest remained low. Inside, fear moved coldly through her. How disappointing for them. Pell studied her face. Do you know what it is? No. Do you know where they are? No. Do you know what they intend? No. All true. That helped. Pell walked closer. You are either very disciplined or very uninformed. Those are not mutually exclusive. The corner of his mouth lifted. Then he struck her, not hard enough to break bone, hard enough to knock her against a chair. The room flashed white for an instant. Her lower hands caught the seat before she fell. Pell's harmonic undertone did not change. That was the worst part. He had not lost control. He had made a calculation. Do you still know nothing? Vera tasted blood. Yes. Pell nodded. I believe you. She looked up. Then why hit me? To see whether anyone reacted. He glanced toward the camera above them. Vera followed his gaze. The human relay sat in his palm. He had wanted them watching. Pell turned to the lieutenant. Any change? The lieutenant checked his tablet. No. Good. Pell looked back at Vera. Either they cannot see us or they are better disciplined than I hoped. He offered her a cloth for the blood. She did not take it. Which do you prefer? The first. It's the cloth on the chair. The second is more interesting. Aboard the quiet Resolve, no one spoke for 6 seconds. They had seen the strike. Myria's fingers remained motionless over the controls. Oren stood behind her, jaw tight. Tavian looked toward Sabine. Permission? No, the word came instantly, not coldly, decisively. Oren stepped away from the console. He hit her to test the feed. I know. He'll do worse next. I know. Then we move. No, Oren turned toward Sabine. He knows we're inside his network. He knows something is. That difference is shrinking. Yes, Sabine looked at Myria. Feed status. Compromised? Can he use it? If I keep it alive, yes. Kill it. Myria hesitated. We lose the observation lounge. Kill it. The relay went dark. Pell's image vanished. Oren exhaled sharply through his nose. The planning compartment stayed quiet. Everyone was angry. Anger was allowed. Acting from it was not. Sabine looked toward the liner schematic. First plan is dead. No one protested. The original entry route used the garden maintenance seam. Pell would be watching it now. He might want them to use it. That made it unusable. Strip it, Sabine said. Myria deleted the approach model. Oren closed the breach calculations. Tavian removed the medical route tied to the garden access. Hours of work vanished in less than a minute. A plan was useful until it was not. Then it became a liability. Sabine pointed toward the ship. Start again. Thurl Quinet received Vera's injury report 30 minutes later. Not from Pell, from the humans. Sabine appeared on the command display with no attempt to soften the news. Pell struck her. Thurl's crest flattened against his skull. How badly? Facial injury. Conscious. Mobile. You watched it, for part of the incident. Why did you not act? Sabine met his eyes. Because acting then would have killed people. The answer was correct. Thurl hated it. Your surveillance caused it. Yes. Thurl's lower hands tightened behind his back. You miscalculated. Yes, the admission disarmed half his anger and intensified the rest. What now? We abandon the original route. Pell knows you are probing the ship. He suspects. That is not meaningfully different. It is operationally different. Thurl heard the precision. He did not appreciate it. Sabine continued. He is now moving guards to defeat the plan he thinks we have. And you intend to use that. If possible. Thurl's harmonic undertone sharpened. My daughter is not a piece on your board. No, she is one of the people we are trying to keep alive. You say that very easily. Sabine's expression changed slightly, not offense, weariness. Nothing about this is easy. The sentence sat between them. Thurl looked toward the blank feed where Vera had been, then back to Sabine. What do you need? The question surprised both of them. Sabine answered immediately. I need Pell angry. Thurl's upper eyes narrowed. He already is. No, he is interested. Controlled. Curious. I need him making decisions to prove he controls the situation. That is dangerous. Yes, useful, possibly. Thurl disliked possibly, but he understood the shape of the request. How? Tell him the ransom transfer failed. It has not begun. Exactly. Thurl's crest lifted. He will know I am lying. Yes. Then what is the purpose? To make him correct you. Thurl thought of Pell's pride, his need to demonstrate command, his enjoyment of explaining why others were wrong. You want him talking. I want him moving. The next negotiation lasted less than 5 minutes. Thurl opened with the lie. The first transfer authorization was rejected. Pell's natural eye narrowed. No transfer was submitted. The financial authority claims otherwise. They are stalling. Perhaps. Pell leaned toward the camera. You are becoming clumsy, ambassador. Thurl raised his crest. Then correct me. Pell's harmonic undertone sharpened. He began issuing instructions to prove the transfer route remained valid. He called for his financial officer, then his communications chief, then the engineer controlling the liner's external data systems. 3 senior pirates moved toward auxiliary command. Myria tracked each one. The bridge lost a commander. Engineering lost a supervisor. The aft sensor team lost its communications officer. Pell had concentrated expertise around himself. Sabine watched the movement. Better, Oren frowned. Still ugly. Most useful things are. Inside the atrium, Vera returned with a bruise darkening one side of her crest. The little girl stood the moment she saw her. You came back. I said I intended to. The child touched Vera's cheek. Did he do that? Yes. Is he bad? Vera looked toward Pell's empty balcony position. Yes. The child accepted that, then whispered, Are the humans coming? Vera's lower eyes moved toward her. Why would you ask that? The pirates keep checking the walls. For the first time since Pell struck her, Vera smiled. Children noticed details too. They may be. Will they win? I don't know, the child frowned. You say that a lot. It is an honest answer. I don't like it. Neither do I. The elderly human card player leaned toward them. I do. His wife looked at him. You like not knowing? No. I like that she's not lying to the kid. He picked up one of the cards he had somehow kept hidden, then slid it beneath the edge of Vera's sleeve. A red queen. She looked at him. What is this? Luck. I don't believe in luck. Neither do I. Keep it anyway. The card disappeared beneath her cuff. A small, ridiculous object, completely useless. She kept it. Pell returned to the atrium in a worse mood. Vera heard it before she saw him. His harmonic undertone had lost its smooth confidence. The ransom dispute irritated him. The vanished relay irritated him more. He walked among the hostages instead of returning to the platform. That made people shrink away. He stopped beside a human family, 2 parents, 1 teenage son, a younger daughter. Pell looked toward the boy. Stand. The father moved first. Take me? Pell turned. I did not ask for you. The father stood anyway. The nearest guard struck him behind the knees. He fell. The mother covered the younger child's eyes. The boy rose slowly. Pell looked around the atrium. This ship remains under my control. No one answered. I know some of you believe help is coming. The room tightened. Vera watched his hands. One held a pistol. The other remained empty. We will correct that belief. He pressed the pistol beneath the boy's jaw. The mother made a sound torn from somewhere beneath language. Vera stood. Pell. Every guard turned toward her. Pell did not. Sit down. He is not useful to you dead. That is not your decision. No, it is yours. She walked forward despite the rifles tracking her. Which means his death tells us something about you. Pell finally looked toward her. What? That you are afraid. The atrium became perfectly still. Pell's black eye tightened. Vera continued. You found a human device. You changed patrols. You moved sensors. And still you do not know where they are. You want us to believe killing a child proves control. She stopped several paces away. It proves the opposite. The pistol remained beneath the boy's jaw. Pell's harmonic undertone became almost silent. That frightened her more than anger. You are brave, he said. No, my father taught me to keep talking when I am frightened. Pell stared at her, then lowered the pistol. The boy nearly collapsed. His father caught him. Relief moved through the atrium so quickly it was almost a sound. Pell looked toward Vera. You saved him. For now. Yes, his smile returned, thin, dangerous, and now everyone here believes you can do it again. Vera felt the trap close. Hope created responsibility. Pell understood that too. He turned toward his guards. Move 50 hostages to the eastern airlock. The atrium erupted. Parents grabbed children. Crew members shouted. Pirates moved in with weapons. Pell raised his voice. 1 hour. If the transfer is not confirmed, the compartment opens. He looked directly at Vera. Now let us see whether your humans are worth believing in. The hostage movement appeared across quiet resolves displays in fragments. 50 heat signatures, eastern airlock corridor, children among them. Pell had accelerated the crisis. Sabine looked at the tactical clock, 58 minutes. Oren brought up 3 possible entry routes, all bad. Myria tracked internal sensors. Tavian began reallocating medical teams toward decompression injuries. No one needed to be told. Sabine looked toward the revised ship model. The first plan was dead. The second had less than an hour to exist. What have we missed? She asked. Oren pointed toward the outer hull. Cargo 4, monitored, partially, too obvious. Yes, Myria enlarged the livestock transfer systems. Not if we make them watch something else. Sabine looked toward her. What? The garden, Oren understood. Use the dead plan as bait. Myria nodded. I can make Pell believe we are restarting the original intrusion. Moves more sensors there. Cargo 4 opens. Sabine studied the routes. The plan depended on Pell seeing exactly what they wanted him to see. It also depended on Vera buying time inside. No one said that aloud. Thurl's voice came through the shared channel. What is happening? Sabine answered. Your daughter just prevented an execution. Thurl closed all 4 eyes, only for a moment, then opened them. What do you need? Sabine looked toward the eastern airlock countdown. Keep Pell talking. And if he refuses, make him angry enough to answer. Thurl's crest rose. On the liner, 50 hostages were marched toward vacuum. Outside it, 24 humans began preparing to enter through a door the pirates had stopped watching. The rescue had not begun. People were already bleeding for it. Chapter 4, the hour runs out. The eastern airlock had been built for cargo. That made it large enough to hold 50 hostages and impersonal enough to terrify them. The chamber's walls were bare metal. No observation windows. No decorative lighting. No furniture beyond cargo restraints folded into the floor. The only visible feature was the outer pressure door. A circular slab of reinforced alloy thick enough to survive vacuum. A pirate stood beside its control panel with one hand resting on a manual release. The hostages watched that hand. Nothing else mattered. Vera Quinez stood near the center of the chamber with 23 adults, 17 children, 6 crew members, and 4 passengers whose atmosphere masks were already running low. The little girl from the observation lounge remained beside her. The captain's hat was gone, lost somewhere during the forced march. She seemed younger without it. Can that door open? The child whispered. Yes. Will it? Vera looked toward the pirate at the controls. I don't know. The child closed her eyes. You always say that. I know. I still don't like it. Neither do I. A timer glowed above the inner door. 46 minutes until Pell's deadline. 46 minutes until someone chose whether the chamber remained a room or became part of space. The pirates had removed the hostages' personal communicators. They had also overlooked the elderly human's playing card beneath Vera's cuff. It pressed against her wrist whenever she moved. Useless. Comforting. She understood why humans carried such things now. Logic did not always fill every need. Drax and Pell stood outside the chamber behind a transparent pressure partition. He wanted the hostages to see him, wanted them to understand that their lives were being measured by a person, not an automatic system. Vera met his black artificial eye through the glass. He touched the communications panel. His voice entered the chamber. Your father has 39 minutes to confirm the transfer. The timer still showed 46. Vera noticed, so did the crew members. Pell was changing the deadline, not because the ransom mattered, because uncertainty weakened people faster than time. You said 1 hour, Vera answered. I revised the schedule. Why? Because the humans are attempting to enter my ship. Several hostages reacted. Hope and fear arrived together. Pell watched both. You see, he said. One sentence and half of you believe rescue is moments away. He glanced toward the outer door. The other half now understand what happens if it fails. The little girl gripped Vera's hand. Pell smiled faintly. Humans encourage dangerous expectations. Vera raised her voice enough for the entire chamber to hear. Only when pirates are frightened of them. One guard stepped toward her. Pell lifted a finger. The guard stopped. He enjoyed this. That was Vera's weapon, not courage, not cleverness, his vanity. You believe they are already aboard, Pell said. No. That answer made him pause. Vera continued. I believe you do. A few hostages looked toward Pell. His harmonic undertone tightened. Not enough for most species to hear, enough for every Orovai in the chamber. Fear, small, controlled, real. Pell ended the connection. The transparent partition darkened. He had lost nothing visible. Vera had gained exactly what she needed. The hostages had heard his fear. Ambassador Thurl Quinnet contacted Pell at 38 minutes, not with a financial report, with an insult. The human Commonwealth cruiser has offered to conduct the transfer. Pell appeared immediately. Rejected. Thurl's crest rose in formal surprise. Why? Because the humans are not part of the agreement. They are offering secure verification. They are offering interference. Then you admit they concern you. Pell leaned closer to the camera. I admit they are present. You moved 50 hostages because one small cruiser entered the system. I moved them because you delayed. No. Thurl's harmonic undertone remained smooth. You moved them because you found something aboard the ship. Pell became still. Thurl watched his natural eye. The artificial one did not betray him. Did my daughter tell you that? No. Then the humans did. Thurl smiled without warmth. You are becoming predictable. The insult landed. Pell's scars tightened along his jaw. Your daughter is standing beside an airlock. Yes, you should sound more frightened. I am terrified. The honesty surprised Pell. Thurl continued before he could respond. My daughter knows that. You know that. Everyone in this room knows that. He leaned toward the display. What you do not know is whether fear has made me careless. The negotiation chamber aboard the Orovai cruiser fell silent. Thurl had spent his life teaching others never to challenge a hostage-taker's sense of control without purpose. Today, purpose stood inside an airlock. Pell's harmonic undertone darkened. You are stalling. Of course I am. The direct admission stopped him. Thurl raised his crest. You are stalling too. Moving sensors. Changing patrols. Searching walls. Threatening children. Neither of us has what we want yet. Pell's mouth curved slightly. There it was, recognition, not friendship, not respect. Two men acknowledging the same contest. Then let us stop pretending, Pell said. Tell your humans to withdraw. Release the children. No, then we continue pretending. Thurl deliberately lifted his untouched cup of broth. Orovai negotiators never drank during formal talks. He took one slow sip. Pell's natural eye narrowed. The gesture meant the negotiation had ceased to be sacred. Thurl had turned it into performance. Pell understood. Good. He began talking, angrily, exactly as Sabine needed. Aboard the quiet Resolve, Myria Sato made the dead garden route come alive. She resurrected the destroyed surveillance relay, not fully, just enough. A burst of encrypted traffic appeared near the port garden. Then another. A thermal flicker crossed the external sensor grid. A maintenance hatch reported pressure loss and corrected itself. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that announced attack, only enough evidence for a suspicious commander to complete the story himself. Pell's sensor officer saw it. Myria watched him see it. He reported to auxiliary command. Pell interrupted Thurl mid-sentence. His head turned toward someone off-screen. Myria smiled slightly. Bite. Commander Sabine Arclight stood behind her. Movement. 2 patrols leaving Cargo 4. 1 toward the garden. Portable sensor rotating. Oren Velez's voice came through the boarding channel. That gives us an exterior blind spot. How long? Unknown. Sabine looked toward the tactical clock. 29 minutes until Pell's revised deadline. 29 minutes was far too long to leave hostages beside an airlock, far too short to prepare a better operation. Boarding elements move, she said. The decision traveled through the cruiser. No cheering, no final speeches. Only people confirming that the person beside them was ready. Tavian Rook moved through the assault team with a medical scanner. Stopped beside a young operator whose pulse was elevated. You scared? Yes. Good. The operator looked at him. Good. Means your brain noticed the situation. Tavian checked the seal at her shoulder. Use it. Don't let it use you. He moved on. Oren examined his hull cutter again. One operator watched him. Fourth check. Fifth. Did it change? No. Then why check? Oren locked the tool into place. Because the sixth check is embarrassing. The operator laughed once. The tension eased. Only slightly. Enough. The boarding teams crossed the darkness beneath the liner. This time Pell was watching for them. The humans knew it. Pirate patrol craft moved near the dorsal hull. External cameras swept the main approach vectors. Weapons tracked the quiet Resolve, so the humans remained inside the liner's shadow, using the massive ship to hide them from its own escorts. Cargo 4 waited ahead. The livestock transfer chamber's external panel sat behind an elegant strip of gold hull plating. Someone had painted tiny animals along its edge. Oren reached it first. He checked the seam, then froze. Sabine saw him stop. What? Pressure sensor. Expected. New. Pell had added it. A thin wire ran across the inside of the panel. Opening it would trigger an alarm. Oren examined the housing. Crude. Can you defeat it? Yes. How long? 8 minutes. Sabine looked at the timer. 21 minutes. Too long. I know. Alternate. Oren studied the surrounding hull. Above Cargo 4 sat the passenger waste transfer trunk. Below it ran a reinforced drainage conduit. Neither had been designed for people. Both were narrow, dirty, potentially lethal if activated. He pointed. Drainage. Sabine looked at the dimensions. Armor clearance? Barely. Tavian's medical packs? Not with him. Tavian answered. I can split the kit. Sabine considered the route. The operation had already lost its first entry, now the second. Pell was adapting faster than their planning window allowed. What activates the conduit? She asked. Myria answered from the cruiser. Automated sanitation cycle. Next. 9 minutes. Can you stop it? Stopping it alerts engineering. Can you delay it? Possibly. How long? Do you want an honest number or a comforting one? Honest. 4 minutes. Sabine looked toward Oren. Can you clear it in 4? No. How long? 6. Myria heard him. I hate you. I know. The boarding team clung to the hull while the timer continued. Inside the eastern airlock, children waited beside a door that could kill them. There was no good option. That did not remove the need to choose one. Delay the cycle, Sabine said. Myria's hands moved. 4 minutes. Oren, take 6. That leaves 2 minutes of automated machinery trying to turn us into waste. Yes, he looked at the drainage hatch, then at the operator beside him. Finally, a properly hostile door. Pell ended the negotiation at 18 minutes. Thurl had kept him occupied for 11, long enough for sensors to move. Not long enough for comfort. Pell entered the eastern airlock corridor personally. The transparent partition cleared. Vera saw him approaching. His confidence had returned, or he wanted it to appear that way. Your father failed, he said over the chamber speaker. No, he did not confirm payment. That is not the same thing, Pell smiled. You share his habits. Usually the unfortunate ones. He checked the timer. Choose 10. Vera thought she had misheard. What? 10 hostages. He gestured toward the chamber. If payment is not confirmed, 10 enter the outer lock first. You said the chamber would open. I have revised the schedule. Vera understood. He was no longer confident enough to risk all 50. That should have been encouraging. It was not. Choose, Pell repeated. No. Then my guard chooses. The pirate beside the controls stepped into the chamber. He began pointing. A crew member, 2 adults, a teenage boy, one of the alternate atmosphere passengers, then the little girl beside Vera. The child made no sound. Her hands simply tightened. Vera stepped in front of her. Choose me. Pell's expression did not change. You are too useful. You brought me here because I am my father's daughter. Yes, then he will value me more than 10 random passengers. Probably. Take me. The chamber became silent. Pell studied her. You believe the humans are close. I believe you are asking me to choose because you do not want to. The statement found its target. His harmonic undertone went flat. Vera continued. You want the hostages to share responsibility. You want us to decide who dies. Then afterward you can tell yourself you only followed our choice. Pell opened the chamber door. Cold air moved through the gap. He entered alone. The guard raised his weapon, uncertain. Pell stopped in front of Vera. You think you understand me? No, I understand the method. He struck her across the stomach. Vera folded. Air left her lungs. The little girl screamed. Pell caught Vera by the collar before she hit the floor, then dragged her toward the inner airlock. The elderly human card player stood. A rifle swung toward him. His wife grabbed his sleeve. "Sit down. He's taking her. I can see that." "Then let go." "No." The old man looked at her. She did not release him. Her eyes were wet. "You cannot help her by making me watch you die too." The words stopped him, barely. Pell shoved Vera through the inner airlock door. One guard followed. The door sealed. The chamber display changed. Inner lock occupied. The little girl began sobbing. Pell stood on the opposite side of the glass with Vera beside him. "One life," he announced. 10 minutes. Then another. Thurl saw the image when Pell reopened communications. Vera stood inside the lock. A bruise darkened her face. One arm held across her stomach. Behind her waited the outer door and vacuum. Thurl's crest flattened so completely it hurt. Pell looked into the camera. "You wanted proof." Thurl forced his voice to remain steady. "What do you want?" "The human's gone." "You know I cannot command them." "Then persuade them." "What proof do I have you will release her?" "None." The word landed cleanly. Pell wanted him helpless. Thurl looked toward the human command feed. Sabine's image remained dark. No updates, no reassurance, only a status marker, boarding element active. Thurl understood what silence meant now. The humans were somewhere they could not talk. He looked back at his daughter. Vera met his eyes. Her harmonic undertone could not cross the transmission. Her expression could. "Keep talking." Thurl saw it. He began. "Commander Pell, if you kill her, you lose your strongest leverage. I retain 954 others. You lose the one whose death guarantees every Orovai vessel pursues you until your grandchildren are dust." Pell smiled. "I have no children. Then someone else's." The pirate's smile faded. Thurl kept talking. Inside the drainage conduit, Oren Velez crawled through darkness while the sanitation system tried to wake beneath him. The passage was so narrow his shoulders scraped both walls. Water trembled below the grated floor. A warning light flashed red. Myria's voice sounded through static. "Cycle starting. You promised 4 minutes. I gave you 4 minutes. You used them." A deep mechanical vibration shook the conduit. Valves opened somewhere behind the team. Oren looked forward. The hatch into Cargo 4 remained 12 meters away, too far. "Move," Sabine ordered. They moved. Behind them, waste pumps roared. A surge of dark water entered the conduit. It struck the last operator and knocked her forward. Tavian caught her boot. The current pulled harder. "Leave me," she shouted. "No, Tavian." He locked one arm through a support brace. The water climbed around them. The operator's helmet struck the wall. Her seal warning flashed. Oren reached the inner hatch. Locked, of course. He pulled the compact cutter from his belt. "No time," Sabine said. "I know." He fired the tool at maximum output. Metal glowed. The conduit shook. Water rose past Tavian's chest. The trapped operator stopped responding. "Tavian." "Still have her." The cutter burned through the final latch. Oren kicked the hatch. It burst inward. Water exploded into Cargo 4. So did the boarding team. They hit the floor among empty animal stalls, drainage fluid, and pieces of decorative paneling. Tavian dragged the unconscious operator through last. The sanitation cycle shut down behind them. Myria's voice returned. "I have alarms." "How many?" Sabine asked. "All of them." Cargo 4's lights turned red. Pirate radios erupted. The quiet approach was over. Sabine rose from the flooded floor. "How long until Pell knows?" Myria answered. "He knows now." Inside the eastern lock, a warning flashed on Pell's wrist terminal. Cargo 4 breach, human borders confirmed. His natural eye widened, only slightly. Vera saw it. The humans had arrived. Pell raised his pistol toward her. The guard inside the lock shifted position. Thurl's voice continued through the wall display. "Pell." The pirate ignored him. "You were right," Pell told Vera. "About what?" "You were worth choosing." His pistol rose toward her chest. The guard behind him suddenly looked toward the inner door. A metallic impact sounded from the corridor, then another, getting closer. Pell pressed the outer door control. Nothing happened. Access denied. He pressed again. The system rejected him. Myria was inside the controls. Vera smiled despite the pain. Pell struck the panel with the pistol. The inner door remained closed. The outer door remained sealed. For the first time since taking the ship, Drax and Pell stood inside a room that no longer obeyed him. The sound outside stopped. Silence returned. The guard raised his rifle toward the door. Pell aimed at Vera. The inner airlock opened, not fully, only wide enough for a black-armored human to fire through. The shot struck the guard first. His armor burst at the shoulder. He spun against the wall and collapsed. Pell fired toward the opening. The human vanished back behind the frame. Pell grabbed Vera and dragged her against him. His pistol pressed beneath her jaw. "Close it," he shouted. The door continued opening. Slowly, deliberately, Commander Sabine Arclight appeared on the other side. Blood ran down one side of her armor, not hers, Vera thought. Then she saw the tear near Sabine's ribs. Maybe some of it was. Sabine's weapon remained aimed at Pell. "You're out of doors," she said. Pell tightened his grip. "So are you." Behind Sabine, weapons fire cracked through the corridor. Humans shouting, pirates answering, someone screamed. The quiet operation was gone. The ship had become a close-quarters battle. Pell smiled. "Now we discover how much she is worth." Sabine did not blink. "More than you." The lights failed. Darkness swallowed the airlock. One shot sounded, then another. When the emergency lights returned, Vera was on the floor. Pell stood above her with an expression of surprise. A dark mark spread across his chest. His pistol slipped from his hand. Sabine had not fired. The shot had come from behind him. The pirate guard lay against the wall, wounded but conscious, his rifle still raised. Pell turned toward him. The guard's voice shook. "You were going to vent us too." Pell took one step, then collapsed. Sabine entered the lock. She kicked the pistol away. Tavian rushed in behind her, dropped beside Vera, and began scanning. "Can you breathe?" "Yes." "Any sharp pain?" "Several." "That is not a location." Vera pointed toward Sabine. "She is bleeding." Sabine looked down at the tear in her armor. "I know." Tavian did not look up. "Can you still count?" Sabine checked the corridor. One threw annoyed. "Good enough." Outside, the gunfire intensified. Myria's voice came through the comms. "Bridge team is pinned. Engineering charges active. Atrium guards have hostages mixed with them." Sabine looked toward the corridor. The rescue had reached Vera. It had not reached everyone. "How long?" she asked. Myria answered. "Until what?" Sabine raised her weapon. "Until this becomes worse." A blast shook the deck. Somewhere below, atmosphere vented into space. Myria's reply came through heavy static. "Too late." Sabine turned toward the fighting. "Then we keep moving." Chapter 5, the ship fights back. The first explosion came from engineering, not the reactor. A coolant junction, small enough that the ship survived, large enough that everyone nearby understood the pirates had stopped trying to preserve it. The blast punched through 2 service decks and threw a sheet of superheated vapor across the engineering compartment. 3 human operators disappeared inside it. One came back out, dragging another. The third did not move. Lieutenant Mara Venn reached him first. Her visor filled with warnings. She ignored all 3. The operator lay beneath a collapsed conduit with one leg trapped and his armor burned black along the left side. His name was Dalen Rusk. He was still conscious, barely. "Can you move your hands?" Mara asked. "Yes." "Can you feel your legs?" "One." "Which one?" "The bad one." "That narrows nothing." A laugh came through his damaged helmet, then turned into a cough. Behind them, the engineering team leader shouted over the alarms. "Charges are still armed." "How many?" "4 confirmed." "Bridge access?" "Cut off." Mara looked at Rusk. He looked back. Neither needed the next sentence explained. If the remaining charges detonated, the liner would lose power, atmosphere control, and possibly containment. 900 people would not survive long enough for anyone to rescue them. Rusk gripped her wrist. "Go." "No. You're the only medic here." "Exactly." "Then do your job." "I am." "On the ship." Mara glanced toward the active charge indicators. Rusk tightened his grip. "I'm not arguing. You're trapped under a pipe. You have positional advantage." Another detonation shook the compartment. Mara swore, then keyed the squad channel. "I need a lift frame at Junction 6. No one leaves him. You hear me?" 2 operators answered. They moved toward Rusk. Mara pressed an injector against his armor seal. "This is going to hurt." "It already hurts." "Good. Then you won't notice the difference." She fired the injector. Rusk shouted once. Mara stood. "Keep him breathing." Then she ran toward the charges. The atrium was worse. Not because there were more pirates, because there were more civilians. When the lights failed, the guards dragged hostages into firing positions. The humans entered through the upper kitchen level, expecting separated targets. Instead, they found weapons aimed over civilian shoulders. The first operator through the service door stopped so fast the person behind him nearly collided with his back. A pirate held an elderly passenger against his chest with one arm. Rifle under her jaw, another crouched behind 2 children. A third had overturned a dining table and pulled 6 hostages behind it. The operation plan dissolved in 1 second. Sergeant Alana Brecht lowered her weapon. The pirate behind the children smiled. "Drop it." She did, not all the way, slowly. Her team spread behind the doorway. No clean shots, no clear route. Every second gave the pirates time to understand what had happened elsewhere. Alana watched hands, breathing, wait. The pirate holding the children had poor footing. One boot partly on a fallen tray. The older child was staring at her, not crying, watching. Alana raised her empty hand. "Easy." The pirate laughed. "You came through a kitchen." "Yes, 24 of you? Something like that." "You think you took the ship?" "No." His smile widened. "Good." Alana looked at the older child, then at the tray beneath the pirate's boot. The child's eyes followed hers, smart, too smart for this. Alana shifted her attention back to the pirate. "We're leaving." The pirate did not believe her. "That was fine, back through the door." His rifle moved slightly. "Slow." Alana took one step backward, then another. The child moved her foot only a little, enough to touch the tray. The pirate never noticed. Alana did, so did the operator behind her. Alana said one word. "Now." The child kicked. The tray slid. The pirate lost his footing. The younger child dropped. The older one twisted away. Two shots cracked almost together. The pirate fell before he hit the floor. Another guard fired blindly. The round struck a hostage near the shoulder and tore into the wall. The atrium exploded into screams. Alana moved forward. Her team followed. A pirate behind the dining table raised his rifle toward the crowd. Alana shot him twice. Another surrendered. A third tried to run for the upper balcony. A human operator tackled him into the rail. Both disappeared over the edge. They hit the lower level hard. The pirate did not move. The operator did, barely. The atrium had become exactly what Sabine had feared. A close fight in a crowded room. No good angles, no safe assumptions, no time. On the bridge, the pirates had sealed themselves behind an emergency bulkhead and cut the control links. Myria Sato could see everything. She could control almost nothing. "Bridge team is still pinned," she said. No one answered. Every channel was full. Engineering calling for medics. Atrium reporting civilian casualties. Cargo 4 flooding. Aft compartments losing pressure. Sabine's team moving toward auxiliary command. Myria worked through the noise. Pell's network was no longer coordinated, but isolated systems remained dangerous. One bridge officer had armed the liner's point defense weapons. Another attempted to rotate the ship toward the quiet Resolve. If either succeeded, the hostage rescue became a naval engagement around a passenger liner. Myria traced the bridge controls. Pirates had locked out remote authority. Fine. She did not need authority, only confusion. She opened the ship's passenger entertainment system. Every display on the bridge lit up. Not with warnings, with a children's puppet show. The blue fabric animal from the theater appeared across every tactical screen. It attempted to steal a moon-shaped pastry. The pirates stared. One bridge officer swore. Another tried to clear the system. The controls rejected him. Myria opened the bridge team channel. "You have 4 seconds," the team leader answered. "Why 4? Because the puppet drops the pastry after that." "What?" "Move." The emergency bulkhead opened halfway. The bridge team forced it the rest of the way. The first pirate through the gap fired. A human operator took the round in the chest and collapsed backward. The rest entered over him. The bridge fight lasted 9 seconds, longer than planned, shorter than the pirates needed. When the puppet finally dropped the pastry, the last armed pirate was on the floor. Myria closed the entertainment feed. "Bridge secure," a breathless voice answered. "Secure. Casualty? Alive. Probably." Myria did not like probably. She moved on. Vera stayed inside the eastern airlock until Tavian Rook finished scanning her. She disliked this. "There are hostages outside. There are hostages everywhere. They need help. So do you? I can walk. That is not a diagnosis." Another explosion shook the deck. Dust fell from the ceiling. Tavian glanced toward Sabine. "Possible internal injury." Vera shook her head. "No." He looked at her. "You do not get to vote." Sabine pressed one hand against the tear in her armor. Blood darkened the material beneath it. Tavian noticed. "Commander." "Later." "That wound is not later-shaped. Can I move?" "Yes." "Can I think?" "Debatable." "Then later." Tavian looked deeply offended. Vera almost laughed. Then the ship lurched. Gravity failed for 1 second, returned hard. Everyone hit the deck. A pressure alarm sounded in the corridor. Myria's voice filled the channel. "Aft passenger ring has been breached." "How bad?" Sabine asked. 3 compartments venting. Emergency doors, 2 closed. 1 failed. "Hostages." "Unknown." Vera pushed herself upright. "I know that section." Sabine looked at her. "You stay with the medic. The archive connects to the aft ring through the climate spine." Tavian said no. Vera ignored him. "The pirates used it to move between passenger decks." "How many people?" Sabine asked. "Possibly 60. Alternate atmospheres?" "Some." Sabine looked toward Tavian. He already hated the decision. "Take her. She may be bleeding internally." "So am I. That does not improve the argument." Sabine raised her weapon. "We need the route," Tavian swore, then pointed at Vera. "You stay behind me." "No, that was not a negotiation." For the first time, Vera understood why humans used that sentence so often. The aft ring smelled of burned plastic and escaping atmosphere. Emergency doors had sealed most of the damage. One corridor remained open to vacuum through a jagged breach near the observation lounge. Anything not secured had vanished. Tavian saw it pass outside the transparent hull section. He did not tell Vera she had already seen. A group of passengers was trapped behind a half-closed pressure door. The gap was less than 30 centimeters. Air screamed through it. A crew member had wedged a serving cart beneath the door to keep it from sealing completely. Useful, insane, human, Tavian thought, then remembered the steward was Oravi. Apparently insanity traveled well. Vera crouched beside the gap. "Can you hear me?" Someone answered through the roar. "Yes. How many?" 32. "Injured?" "Yes. Atmosphere masks?" "Running out." Tavian examined the door controls. Dead. The manual release sat inside the compromised corridor beyond the gap. Oren could have opened it. Oren was 3 decks away helping engineering. Tavian checked the serving cart. Bent, slipping. Vera looked toward the breach, then toward the narrow maintenance spine above them. "There is another control junction behind the archive wall." "How far?" 50 meters. "Through what?" "Decorative storage." Tavian stared. "Your ship hides everything important behind decorations. It is a luxury liner. That is not a defense." They ran. Drax and Pell had not died immediately. The pirate guard's shot had struck low in the chest. Bad, not final. He woke an auxiliary command with blood beneath him and restraints around both wrists. A human operator stood nearby. Young, helmet cracked, weapon steady. Pell looked toward the fallen pirate guard who had shot him. The guard was dead. Sabine's operator had killed him after the second shot. Loyalty was rarely rewarded in Pell's profession. He coughed. Pain rolled through him. "How many of you?" The operator did not answer. 24. Silence. "You are losing people." Still nothing. Pell smiled. "You expected a clean victory." The operator looked at him. "No." That answer bothered Pell. He had expected pride, denial, something human. Instead, the operator continued watching the door. Pell heard gunfire somewhere below, screams, the ship groaning under pressure loss. "You came for hostages." "Yes, some are already dead." The operator's jaw tightened. There, a reaction. Pell leaned back against the console. "Then I still won something." The operator took one step closer. His weapon remained pointed down. "Say that again." Pell smiled. Before he could, Sabine entered, one hand pressed to her side, armor slick with blood. She looked at the operator. "Report. Prisoner conscious. Obviously. He is provoking." "Also obvious." Pell looked toward her. "You are injured." "So are you." "Mine is worse." "That is not a competition." "Everything is." Sabine crouched beside him. "You armed charges in engineering." "Yes." "Vented passenger compartments." 1, 3. Pell's smile faded. Sabine continued. "Your people are surrendering. Some. Bridge is ours. For now. Engineering charges are being disarmed. One will fail." Sabine studied him. "You know which one?" Pell said nothing. She keyed the channel. "Engineering," a voice answered through static. "Busy." Pell says one charge is different. Silence then. "Checking." Pell laughed weakly. "You believe anything I say?" "No, but I believe you enjoy being right." The engineering channel returned. "Found it. Secondary trigger under the coolant manifold. Remote. Deadman circuit." Sabine looked at Pell's restraints, then at his wrist. A small biometric transmitter remained beneath the armor. "If his heart stops," she asked, "charge detonates." Pell smiled again. "There. Now you understand." The operator beside Sabine raised his weapon. She stopped him with one look. Pell was no longer merely a prisoner. He was part of the bomb. Sabine stood slowly. "Keep him alive." The operator stared. "Commander." "Alive," Pell laughed, then coughed blood. "You rescue everyone now?" Sabine looked down at him. "No, just the people keeping the ship from exploding." For the first time, Pell stopped smiling. Engineering found the final charge beneath a cracked coolant manifold. Mara then reached it with blood on her gloves and smoke inside her helmet. Dalen Rusk was still trapped behind her. The charge was connected to Pell's heartbeat. If he died, the detonator armed. If the signal disappeared, same result. If anyone removed the transmitter, same result. Mara examined the circuit. "Can we spoof it?" The engineer beside her shook his head. "Not fast enough." "How long?" 10 minutes. "How long does Pell have?" A pause. "Unknown." Mara looked at the charge, then toward the trapped operator. Rusk's breathing had become irregular. 2 rescue technicians worked to free his leg. Looked at her. "You're the medic." "Yes." "Who do you save?" Mara hated the question, not because it was difficult, because there was only one useful answer. "Both." She pointed toward the charge. "Build the spoof." Then toward Rusk. "Lift on my count." The technician stared. "We don't have enough people." "Then become enough." They moved. The archive wall opened exactly where Vera said it would. Behind it sat climate controls, pressure relays, and a narrow maintenance crawlspace. Tavian stared into it. "You first." Vera entered. "I thought I was staying behind you." "You are now the map." "That sounds like a demotion." "It is." They crawled through dust and insulation while the ship shook around them. The climate control junction appeared ahead, manual release, still powered. Vera reached for it. A pirate stepped from the darkness. He had been hiding behind the relay housing. His rifle came up. Tavian fired first, 3 rounds. The pirate hit the wall and fell into the narrow passage. The sound was enormous in the confined space. Era froze. She had seen people killed, not this close, not while their expression was still changing. Tavian moved past her, checked the pirate, then the weapon. Keep going. Vera stared. He is dead. Yes, you did not warn him. He was aiming at you. The answer was not cruel. It was not apologetic either, just complete. Vera swallowed, then reached the manual release. Her hands shook once. She forced them still, turned the control. The pressure door opened. 32 passengers spilled through. Some crawling, some carrying others. One alternate atmosphere passenger had stopped breathing. Tavian moved immediately. The dead pirate ceased to exist for him. There were living people now. That was where his attention went. Vera understood the distinction. She helped pull a child through the gap, then another. The final passenger cleared just as the serving cart snapped and vanished into the vacuum corridor. The emergency door slammed shut. Silence returned. 32 alive, 1 not breathing. Tavian worked on him. Vera knelt beside the others. No one cheered. They were too tired, too frightened, too aware of the body outside the hull, but they were alive. That was enough for the next minute. The final engineering charge disarmed with Pell still breathing. Barely. Dalen Rusk came free 30 seconds later. His leg was ruined. His pulse was weak. Mara stayed beside him while the engineers secured the reactor. Did we get it? He asked. Yes. All of them? Yes. He closed his eyes. Then I wins. You are not allowed to turn this into a competition. Too late. He lost consciousness before she could answer. The medics carried him out. The ship remained intact, barely. The fighting ended compartment by compartment. Some pirates surrendered, some tried to hide among hostages. 2 made a final stand near the bridge and died there. 1 opened fire in a children's play area and was killed before he reached the second burst. 3 hostages died during the assault. 11 had died before it began. 7 human operators were wounded. 1 remained in surgery. By the time the final armed pirate dropped his weapon, the assault had lasted 11 minutes and 14 seconds, almost 3 times longer than planned. Sabine stood in the atrium as the shipwide count began. Blood soaked her side. Tavian had threatened to sedate her twice. He still might. Thurl Quinet entered through the eastern corridor. His eyes searched the room. Vera saw him first. She stood among the rescued passengers with blood on her sleeve that was not hers. For a moment, father and daughter simply looked at each other. Then they moved, no dignity, no diplomacy. They crossed the distance and held one another while the atrium roared with medics, orders, crying children, and wounded people trying to find family. Sabine looked away, not because the moment embarrassed her, because it belonged to them. Myria's voice sounded in her earpiece. Commander, go. We have 8 missing passengers. Pirates, unknown. Begin search. Already did. Sabine looked across the atrium. The ship was secure. The rescue was not finished. Behind her, Oren Velez stood beside the new hole cut through the garden wall. A pirate prisoner stared at it. We guarded every door, he said. Oren looked at the breach, then at the prisoner. That was your mistake. He lifted the cutter onto one shoulder. You thought we needed one. Chapter 6, everyone accounted for. The ship was secure. That was not the same thing as safe. The distinction became obvious within minutes. Medical teams filled the atrium. Hostages sat beneath blankets or leaned against one another while scanners moved over injuries that had been ignored for hours. Crew members answered questions. Names, cabin numbers, medical conditions, last known locations. Pirates were searched, restrained, and moved into isolated compartments under guard. The dead were covered. The living were counted, again and again, because the first number was always wrong. Ambassador Thurl Quinet found Vera near the Eastern Service corridor. She had a bruise along one side of her crest and dried blood across one sleeve. He reached her without dignity, without protocol, without caring who watched. All 4 hands closed around her shoulders. She leaned into him, only for a moment, then stepped back. You drank during negotiations, Thurl stared. That is what you noticed. You always said it was disrespectful. It was, to Pell? Yes, good. Her crest lifted slightly. Thurl laughed once. It sounded almost broken. Then he touched the bruise along her face. Did he? Yes, Thurl closed his eyes. Vera caught one of his hands. I am alive. I can see that. You are looking as though you cannot. I am trying to correct several hours of expectation. She did not answer. Neither of them needed to. Behind them, a child began crying because she could not find her mother. Vera turned immediately. The little girl from the observation lounge stood near a medical station without her captain's hat. Vera crossed the corridor and crouched beside her. She was with the Western group, the child said. I know. Do you? Yes. Vera took her hand. We will find her. This time she did not say she did not know. Thurl heard the difference. So did the child. Commander Sabine Arclight remained on her feet for exactly 7 more minutes. Tavian Rook found her beside the casualty board. You are sitting down. Am working. You are leaking through your armor. I noticed. That was not praise. He took her arm. Sabine pulled away. Tavian, you have two choices. Sit voluntarily, or wake up sitting. She looked at him. You would sedate your commanding officer. I have forms prepared. Oren Veles passed carrying a damaged cutter. He does. I signed one. Sabine looked between them, then lowered herself onto a supply crate. 3 minutes. Tavian opened the damaged section of her armor. 20. 5, 15, 7, done. He began treating the wound. Sabine watched the casualty board while he worked. Hostages located. 947, expected. 955, 8 missing. The number bothered her more than the injury. Search teams, moving, Myria answered over comms. Decks 3 through 12, cargo holds, service voids, pressure shelters, crew escape lockers, pirate count, 29 dead, 58 captured, 3 unconfirmed. Sabine looked at the numbers. 8 missing hostages, 3 missing pirates, potentially related. Prioritize children's spaces. Already done. Maintenance voids. Already done. Diplomatic archive. Vera heard that from across the corridor. She turned. The archive is hidden climate storage. Sabine looked toward her. How many access points? 2 official. 1 service route behind the recital hall. Oren stopped walking. Behind another decorative wall? Yes. He closed his eyes briefly. This ship is an insult. Vera's crest lifted. You entered through one of those walls. That does not make it respectable. Sabine stood despite Tavian's hand on her shoulder. Take us there. Tavian pressed her back down. No. Sabine looked at him. Commander, he said, you are currently contributing blood to the floor. Oren nodded toward Vera. I'll go. Thurl stepped beside his daughter. So will I. Vera looked at him. You are a diplomat. I have noticed. This is not a negotiation. Everything becomes one when enough people disagree. Oren pointed toward the corridor. Fine. But if we find a door, I open it. The diplomatic archive occupied 2 decks of climate-controlled galleries. Before the hijacking, passengers had visited to view treaty originals, ceremonial gifts, and reconstructed records from dead civilizations. Now emergency lights turned the exhibits into shadows. Glass cases stood open. Display panels flickered. A carved stone tablet lay shattered across the floor. Vera led them past the public galleries, toward a narrow recital room lined with decorative wood. Oren examined the wall. No seam. There is one. Where? She pressed 2 fingers beneath a carved border. A hidden panel released. Oren stared at the opening, then looked at her. I withdraw several previous criticisms. Only several. Do not become ambitious. The service passage beyond was dark, narrow, warm. Thurl smelled fear before he heard movement. Oravai harmonic speech was not the only thing their species noticed. Their lower eyes caught the slightest shift in darkness. He raised one hand. Someone is ahead. Oren drew his weapon. Vera listened, breathing. Several people, one voice whispering, not human, not Oravai, pirate. Oren moved first. The passage opened into a climate storage vault. 3 missing pirates stood behind overturned archive crates. 2 held weapons. The 3rd held a child by the neck. 7 other missing hostages crouched behind them, all 8, alive. The pirate holding the child shouted back. Oren stopped. His weapon remained raised. Thurl watched the hostage-taker's face. Sweat, wide eyes, fast breathing, not Pell, not disciplined, terrified. That was dangerous in a different way. We want a shuttle, the pirate said. Oren answered, no. The pirate tightened his arm. The child gasped. Thurl stepped into the doorway. Oren glanced toward him. Ambassador. I know. Thurl raised both upper hands. My name is Thurl Quinet. I know who you are. Then you know I negotiate. You will get us out. I may. Oren looked at him sharply. The pirate focused on Thurl. Good. May, the pirate repeated. Your commander is dead. The pirate's eyes shifted only for a second. Thurl heard the change in his breathing. He had not known. You are lying. No. Auxiliary command is secure. Engineering is secure. Your ships have surrendered or fled. One of the other pirates lowered his weapon slightly. The leader shouted, keep it up. Thurl continued. You have no route off this ship. You have no command structure. You have one useful thing left. The pirate looked toward the child. Thurl shook his head. No, not the hostage. Your choice. The pirate stared. Thurl's harmonic undertone remained level. If you surrender now, you may live. If you harm the child, Oren Veles will kill you before you can take a second breath. Oren said nothing. He did not need to. The pirate looked toward him. Oren's weapon had not moved. Thurl continued. You are deciding what the rest of your life becomes. That is the last authority you still possess. The pirate's breathing changed. Slower, not calm, thinking. Vera noticed the child's hand. She still held the red queen card. At some point, Vera must have passed it to her. The child looked at Vera, then at the pirate's wrist. Vera moved her lower eyes toward the floor. The child understood. She dropped the card. The pirate glanced down, only for an instant. Oren fired one shot. The round struck the pirate above the eye. His arm released before his body hit the floor. Vera moved. She reached the child first and pulled her away. The second pirate raised his weapon. Thurl shouted, "Do not." The pirate froze. Oren's aim shifted toward him. The weapon dropped. The third pirate surrendered immediately. Silence filled the vault. Then the child began crying, not loudly, a small, exhausted sound. Vera held her. Thurl looked toward Oren. "You said I had time." "You did. How much?" "1 sentence." Thurl considered that. "I used several." "You negotiate quickly." The final hostage count updated 12 minutes later. 955 located. 941 alive. 14 dead. 3 had died during the assault, 11 before it. 7 human operators wounded, 1 in critical condition. 30 pirates dead, 60 captured. The remaining escort crews surrendered. Sabine stared at the board from the medical crate. Tavian finished sealing her wound. "All accounted for," Myria said. Sabine closed her eyes, only then, only for a second. When she opened them, Oren returned with the child and Vera. The little girl had the Red Queen tucked into the band of a replacement captain's hat. The elderly human card player saw it. "That is mine." His wife looked at him. "You gave it away." "I lent it." The child frowned. "It was luck." The old man nodded. "Then you should keep it." His wife folded her arms. "You do not believe in luck." "No, but she seems to." The child held the card tighter. The argument ended there. Drax and Pell died in surgery 4 hours later. The Deadman transmitter remained active until engineers finished spoofing the signal. Only after the final charge had been isolated did the medical team stop trying to keep him alive. Thurl found Sabine outside the surgical compartment. "You rescued him," he said, "for several hours. He murdered 14 people." "Yes, yet your medics worked on him. He was connected to a bomb. And after," Sabine looked through the glass, "the medical team was covering Pell's body. After he was still their patient." Thurl's crest rose slightly. He was not certain whether that answer impressed or disturbed him, probably both. "What will happen to the other pirates?" "Trial, prison if convicted." "You sound disappointed." "No, tired," Thurl believed her. The humans had not arrived eager to kill. They had killed quickly when required, then stopped. That distinction mattered. The official inquiry began 3 weeks later. The council expected to discuss human weapons. They asked about hull cutters. Electronic warfare. Gravity manipulation, pulse rifles. Sabine answered every question. Then Thurl submitted his own report. It focused on different things. The council chair looked confused. "Ambassador, are you saying the decisive human advantage was preparation?" "No." Thurl looked toward Sabine. "The decisive advantage was that preparation survived failure." The chair frowned. "Explain." "The first entry plan was discovered. The second was trapped. The quiet boarding became open combat. Hostages were moved. Engineering was sabotaged. People died." He looked around the chamber. "The humans did not execute one perfect plan. They prepared enough options that imperfection did not end the rescue." A military counselor leaned forward. "Were they fearless?" Sabine answered before Thurl could. "No." The counselor looked toward her. "You crossed open space toward a hostile ship." "Yes." "You entered through an active sanitation conduit." "Yes." "You assaulted a force larger than your own." "Yes." "And you claim you were afraid." Sabine's expression did not change. "Fear is why we checked everything twice." Oren spoke from the second row. "Some things 6 times." Sabine ignored him. A few counselors laughed. The tension in the chamber eased. Thurl continued. "The pirates expected either patience or attack. The humans used patience to prepare the attack. They did not treat negotiation and force as opposites. They treated both as tools for keeping people alive." Months later, the Astor Vale returned to service. The repaired liner looked almost unchanged. Passengers again argued over cards in the observation lounge. Children again wore captains' hats and ran through corridors where adults asked them not to run. The children's theater reopened with the same blue fabric animal. Its first performance sold out. Behind the gravity garden, shipyard workers left one section of the boarding breach visible. Oren had insisted. A small plaque covered the unfinished metal. Vera read it during the liner's reopening voyage. They guarded every door. The humans did not need one. Thurl stood beside her. "Subtle. Humans are not always subtle." "I noticed." Vera touched the edge of the plaque. "Do you think Pell understood before he died?" "Understood what?" "That the humans had already won before they entered." Thurl considered the question, then shook his head. "No, they had not." Vera looked toward him. "The plan failed too many times. People died. The ship nearly broke apart." He watched families move through the restored garden. "The humans won because each time the situation changed, they still had something left to try." Vera smiled. That is less dramatic. It is also true. Behind them, a child asked her father why part of the wall had not been repaired. The father read the plaque, then looked toward the hidden maintenance corridor beyond it. Because sometimes, he said, the safest entrance is the one no one believes exists. The child accepted this immediately. Children often understood humans faster than diplomats did.